One of the leaders of the U.S. intelligence community, I believe it was Clapper, said a few years ago that the Muslim Brotherhood was predominantly a secular organization in Egypt that did not believe in the use of violence. Now, clearly, this man has no business being a part of our national security. If he was so ignorant about the Muslim Brotherhood, I have a master's degree in diplomacy and international terrorism. I've spent thousands of hours studying Islamic terrorism. Thousands of hours. The Muslim Brotherhood is a terrorist organization, and they believe in violence. They were involved in the assassination of 2 Egyptian prime ministers. Heaven knows how many people have died at the hands of Muslim Brotherhood adherents. So, Obama met with the Muslim Brotherhood in the White House. He claimed that they were moderates. So I want you to play the tape. All right, play the tape.
So far, over the last several weeks, when they started taking strikes in Syria, their principal targets have been the moderate opposition that they felt threatened Assad. Their principal goal appeared to be, if you follow the strikes that they took, to fortify the position of the Assad regime. The issue with Assad is not simply the way that he has treated his people. It's not just a human rights issue. It's not just a question of supporting somebody who's been ruthlessly dropping bombs on his own civilian populations. As a practical matter, it is not conceivable that Mr. Assad can regain legitimacy in a country in which a large majority of that country despises Assad and will not stop fighting so long as he's in power.
So here's President Obama. You hear him? He's talking about bombing moderates is a bad idea, and we need to help the moderates. Mr. Obama, really? Really? We armed all those moderates and trained them and sent Humvees and weapons, and didn't most of those weapons end up in the hands of ISIS? Yes. How is that? Because the so-called moderates that are willing to fight Assad, they're not people who want to have freedom and free elections and freedom of speech and freedom of press. They're not. They want Sharia law under the Sunni Muslim framework. That's what they're after. So this delusion that he has, that there are moderate Muslim Sunni terrorists, is just that, a delusion. Part of the difficulty that we have, now you say, Randall, why are you so worked up about this? Come on, man, it's Thanksgiving is upon us, the holiday season is beginning, peace on earth, goodwill toward men, let's give thanks for the pilgrims and the Indians, and listen, I love all that stuff. It's part of the fiber of who I am. And there are Christians in the world today that are not allowed to publicly celebrate Advent. They cannot say Christ the Savior is born on the street. It's a capital crime. They'd be killed. And the scriptures say that we have an obligation to them. Remember those who are in prison or in chains as if you were suffering with them. We have a duty to those people. And beyond that, I have this nagging voice in my head. Let the 11-year-old drive the car. No, wrong movie. That's Cat in the Hat. Tried for a little comic relief here. I have this nagging voice in my head talking to me about Constantinople and other great cities that were Christian cities. Constantinople was the jewel of the East. Byzantium was considered the jewel of the East. One of the greatest libraries in the world was in Byzantium. It was the base of Constantinople, was the foundation of Byzantium Christianity. Obliterated at the hand of Muslims. I've been to Turkey. I've been to Ephesus, where the grave of St. John, the evangelist, John the Apostle, John the Gospel writer, and Luke, the Gospel writer, their graves are decimated, desecrated. The churches that were built there are a rubble heap, and it's against the law to rebuild them. That is Islam. That is what we're fighting. And if we let that come into our country, we're inviting it here to fight us. I don't want to make that invitation.